to order for the Clemson City Police Advisory Board, July 25th. And we'll start with the roll call. Myself, Lisa Robinson, present. Jackie Myers is excused. Kevin Doe?
Present.
Sandy Edge?
Present.
Our Clemson student rep is not appointed as yet. Pablo Inda?
Present.
Elaine Masseri? Winton Hunter?
Here.
Okay. And we have a pending high school rep also. Okay.
I just to give you an update, the principal gave me the name and phone number this week. I just haven't reached out to them yet to get them going, but I plan to do that shortly.
Oh, great. Okay. If we could have the approval of the agenda.
Before we approve the agenda, we neglected to put an item on here, update on the golf cart work group, so you may want to amend the agenda to add that item to the agenda. Probably through a motion and a second and so forth.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we add the golf cart committee
Work
update.
committee.
Work committee update. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that carries. So we will add that. Let's add that right before the presentations.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so if we can review the agenda as amended and get that approved. Any additional changes? Updates for the agenda? You good? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Okay, so moving on to the previous minutes. So these are the minutes of June 27th. You have them in front of you. You take a few minutes if you haven't already read them. Take a look at these and see if there are any changes or additions. Do we have any changes?
You don't have me here. Not that it matters.
Oh, there is an amendment. Kevin's not listed here under attendance, and he was present. Do we see anything else? If there are no other changes, if we could get a motion to approve the minutes with the addition of Kevin under attendance.
Motion to approve.
It's been moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so we will move on to citizens' comments. 3 minutes per speaker. We do have one person in the gallery who is here to speak. And if you
Just state your name.
If you would give us your name and residence, just within City of Clemson or...
Robert Lee, I live at 113 Presley Drive in Clemson. And my comment I have is about the composition of the board itself. Now, previous to about 2 months ago when City Council passed an ordinance, I was confident that boards consisted of the following standards, or these were the standards for appointment. The state code says it shall represent a broad cross-section of the interests and concerns within the jurisdiction, and the second shall, in that, it's in the South Carolina Enabling Act of the state code. Mm-hmm. The second one says, in the appointment of commission members, the appointing authority shall consider their professional expertise, knowledge of the community, and concern for the welfare of the total community and its citizens. So those were the things before. Well, now in my mind, and maybe only in my mind, I don't know, but City Council passed an ordinance that now it says, see, I thought the selection before was shall means you shall do these things. That doesn't allow you to come in behind it and say, well, we'll tack this on, add this on. We may. State doesn't say you may do anything else. It says you shall do this. So the City Council came behind and said, well, now, I don't have the exact wording of it, but this ordinance said now, in addition to the criteria, it says now we're going to say, well, basically the appearance of the board, the representative and inclusive of, it doesn't say what. So in my mind, that is so vague, it can be anything. But if someone looks at the board now, well, I think representative includes this. It could be a world of difference from the next person who comes in the position and says, no, I think representative includes this. So it's such a wide open, it just brings a big doubt into my mind of the integrity of the whole process of even a board. So I don't know what more to do about that, but that's, in my mind, things have changed. Because of that, I say, well, basically, the word that came to mind is it's besmirched. The value of everyone on the board now is, in my mind, besmirched because I don't know if anyone is there just because of appearance or if it's because of inner qualities that the state said, we need these inner qualities on our boards. We don't need it to appear like this and appear like this. So that seems to be what the city council is doing. They say, we need a board to appear like this for it's got to appear this way for a TV show or something. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me and kind of throws a lot of confusion and uncertainty into those.
So your question is for the verbiage. Your question is for the verbiage of shall.
Not the shall. The shall is what it should be. That's what it's been. It's the city ordinance came behind. It didn't say any. It just says, I don't have the ordinance there. The new ordinance about planning commissions and or about commission assignments. So the question is about the city ordinance saying it should do representation and inclusion. That's what my question. That's what I'm questioning. That's what in my mind throws it into a world of difference. So it's about the new city ordinance that says representative and inclusive representative and inclusive, I can't remember the word they use, or should. They say should. So should be considered also. And I just say that the standard of semantics of what the law means is that when the law says shall, that's it. You don't get to come in and say, well, fiddle around with it and say, we're going to add this on, tack this on, which would cancel out the shall that the state meant in the first place. You could come behind and say all kinds of things and take a back door and do something invalid according to the state, what the state said.
So, Mr. Lee, do you have a recommendation or suggestion with regard to the language?
Yeah, that ordinance is...
Just your issue is with the ordinance, not with the process, with the application process itself?
Yeah, with the ordinance, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and that the ordinance is unnecessary and throws big confusion into a process that didn't need to be. So the ordinance didn't need to be. It makes it confuses the process that really was clear. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming
Thank you.
and sharing that with us.
Appreciate you coming in.
Okay, I don't think we don't have anyone else present for comments.
We have no email correspondence.
That's come in. Okay. We do have a presentation on here by the city attorney.
Yes, and I have not heard from him. I actually confirmed with him 2 weeks ago that he was coming. He said it's on his calendar, he's gonna be here. I have not seen him, I have not heard from him. I texted him, he hasn't texted me back. I know I sent a contract for review and I got an email reply that he was out of the office, so my guess is something came up. I know he's had some emergent hearings in Georgia that he's been traveling to and from too, so
Okay.
that could be where he's at.
So, is it okay everyone, if we table that to the following meeting, which would be the August meeting?
Well, the following meeting, we have the sheriff-elect,
Oh, right.
which we were gonna have him come to this meeting, but then we remembered we invited the city attorney.
Okay.
So
So perhaps
I
the
pushed
September
him
meeting.
to the, yeah, so I will get back with him
Okay.
and
September,
we'll see if we can get him here in September.
Okay.
make a motion to move it to September
Okay,
27th.
it's been so moved,
Sorry.
moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, next we will have the department status and staffing review.
Yes, ma'am. So we have 2 open officer positions. We have 1 or 2 officers that are in background. One of those officer positions, unfortunately, was opened up because our employee who was in the academy didn't pass the academy, unfortunately, and so we had to terminate them. We have 1 officer that's in field training that she will be done shortly, and that is our former dispatcher jailer who applied for and successfully was selected to be an officer. So her position is still vacant in the jail, and we got 1 additional position with the new budget cycle. So we have 2 dispatch positions that we're trying to currently fill. And so, but we're doing pretty good with potential candidates and that kind of stuff. One of the issues that we're juggling, so of the 2 officer positions, one of those is the new officer position that we just got in the new budget cycle. Our new budget went into effect this month, but we're juggling cars around, so we're not going to fill that position until we know if we have enough cars to put them in. And if it's somebody that we're going to be sending to the academy, we won't need a car for a while. But we have 5 cars on order. They're in production now. We just don't know when we're going to get them. And then we have to upfit them when they get here. So it's all a timing thing right now. So that's it for our staffing review. As far as the department status, I mean, we're getting close to move-in. Next month is move-in. Our students will be coming back, and actually summer B session is more active than the other summer sessions. So we're seeing students in town now that are coming in for the summer B. All the camps are pretty much done with on campus, so we don't have as many of those folks coming in and out of town. So we're preparing for that. We know that the Panthers event is the 1st of August. So we'll be working with the university with that event. It'll be similar to a spring game type situation, which is, that's a Thursday, I believe, the 1st, because on the 2nd, which is August 2nd, is our version of National Night Out at Clemson Park, starting at 6. That's still ongoing, and so that's upcoming.
I'm sorry, what park is that being held at this year?
Clemson Park, that is the same park where the pump track is, off of Frontage Road.
Is it like behind the church?
Ma'am?
Is it behind the church?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else on department status?
I think that's pretty much it, other than, we mentioned a while back that we're moving to a new records management system. The last 3 days, we have been doing some training on that new system. Still a long ways to go. We still have to convert data and all that kind of stuff, but a lot closer than just looking at contracts and signing them. So we're actually getting a little more traction on that.
Okay, if there's nothing further, we can move on to the crime review.
Okay, I have up here our crime map. As you know, it hadn't been working there for a little while, but it's back up and working. The icons you see on the map are for the last month, which is the stats that I'm going to give you, so it's not to date. As you can tell, a lot of the icons you see there are traffic-related offenses, some vandalism, still some alcohol violations downtown, and then some vehicle break-ins. According to our statistics, we had 7 simple assaults in the month of June. We had 4 burglaries reported and 4 burglaries to vehicles reported. We had 4 motor vehicle thefts. Again, a lot of those are scooters. One of which I know we recovered down in Anderson shortly after it was stolen, so we know where they're going for the most part. We made 15 narcotic arrests. We made 9 DUI arrests and 4 public drunk arrests. And we had 5 traffic accidents and 2 noise violations. I do know that we, let's see where the numbers are here. I think we have more traffic accidents than those 4, I know that.
The noise violation, was that residential or was that like auto?
I know one of them was residential, and I know one of them resulted in an actual physical arrest in a residential neighborhood. So we had a particular house where we've gone to multiple times, found them in violation multiple times, gave numerous warnings, written warnings, citations. None of that worked, so then they made a physical arrest. So I know that case is pending. As far as, and I know some of you have approached me and pointed out, they've seen more and more police officers out there making traffic stops. Well, for the month of June, we did 1,114 traffic stops. We issued 493 citations, which both of those were a little lower than what they were the previous month, but they're still being very active. They made 8 DUI arrests. Let's see. Minor and possession cases, we only made 8, but then again, it's the summertime and that activity downtown is severely slow. Yes, 52 vehicle collisions. I knew we had more vehicle collisions. And 5 of which had injuries as a result. So this next number, it's kind of a little skewed in that we now have a parking enforcement officer. They actually report to planning and code, so they don't work with the police department. So the parking citations I'm telling you are the ones that the officers have issued, and they issued 54. And I know a lot of those citations are related to vehicles being parked in the parking deck overnight. So they get parking citations there. So still very busy, 5,300 calls for service. Now that also includes the proactivity the officers have been doing for business checks, residential checks, vacation checks. We get a lot of vacation checks this time of the year where people are going out of town. And so that all those calls for service are inclusive of that activity.
Chief, do they tow out of the parking garage if somebody parks their car there overnight?
We no longer tow out of the garage, we just ticket them. And it's a pretty hefty ticket. It's not like $50, it's
Chief,
yes.
how long does someone have to be on vacation, or is there just a time frame that y'all would go by and check? Is it a week? Is it certainly not?
No, if you're gone for a month, you just, in the vacation check, you just tell us when you're gonna be gone, how long you're gonna be gone, who the point of contact would be while you're gone if we see something that doesn't look right. You list in there who's allowed to be there, who's not allowed to be there, that kind of stuff. So that if we do go by and check it and we see somebody there, we know to ask if they're that, the right person. But there's no limit on how long you have to be gone. An update I'd like to kind of mention, we meet quarterly with Department of Transportation, and one of the things that we did in the budget this year was put money in to put battery backups at the traffic lights at 76 and 123 and 133, which is College Avenue, and 123. currently there are no batteries in those signals. So when the power goes out, the light goes out completely. And it causes all kinds of havoc, as you know, because of the heavily traveled roads. Well, it also puts a big strain on us because both of those intersections, you need at least 2 officers to work the intersection. Otherwise, it's just dangerous for them to be out there in the road by themselves. So by putting these battery backups in these traffic boxes, it prevents us from having to put an officer out there when the power goes out. So we're working with engineering right now and with DOT to identify where the additional equipment needs to be placed, and we'll be going through that process. Probably take a little while before they actually get there. Also with DOT, we've made 2 requests. I know when Dr. King was on the board, he talked a lot about the pedestrian crossing there at 133 and 123, and how busy that intersection is, and how sometimes how the cars go through there very fast. So if you're familiar with College Avenue, as you travel from downtown and you're headed towards 123, when you pass Edgewood, the speed limit goes from 25 to 35.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were questioning, well, why is that? Because you're coming to a major busy intersection, and why are you increasing speed to get there? Plus, there's a lot of pedestrians that come through there. And then beyond 123, continuing over the hill and down towards the lake, it's 35 miles per hour. And so we get concerned citizens a lot about cars speeding through there. So what we asked DOT to do is take a look at that stretch of road, because it is a secondary road, state road. And we asked if they would drop it to 25, so continuing from downtown all the way past the train trestle, past Elm Street, down to where you start going down towards the lake, and then right when you get closer to the lake, then it'll go back up. So they're taking a look at that. They didn't seem too objectionable about doing it, but they always have to do some type of study before they actually do it. So that's in the works. Also, what we've asked them to do is look at the traffic signal there. So as you're traveling north right now, you have a left-hand turn lane, 2 straight lanes, and a right-hand turn lane. Well, a lot of times in different periods throughout the day, College Avenue backs up, and a lot of the traffic seems to be trying to make a right turn to go north on 123. What we asked them to take a look at is that straight lane that's adjacent to the right-hand turn lane, make it a straight and right turn in addition to the right turn, to account for more traffic to make that right, and then change the signaling to indicate such, so that it would facilitate more right turns. They took down the notes and said it looks like something we could potentially do. The issue then is getting funding to change the striping in the road and the traffic light. I would have loved to do it before football season, because that would help us get traffic out of there faster, because everybody tends to get over to that right turn lane because they don't know they can make a right turn from the straight lane, and it backs all the way up, and nobody can get into the Riggs neighborhood or anything because they back all the way up to downtown. So I don't think it's going to happen by football season, but I'm hoping it will get installed at some point. And then from that point forward, people will get used to making that right turn when available. Now, the only thing that's going to be challenging is the pedestrian signal won't change. So if the light is green for the right turn, it's the pedestrian signal is going to show green for the pedestrian to go at the same time, and you're going to have to rely on the drivers paying attention that there's a pedestrian in the crosswalk not to make that turn, which is what the problem is now. And part of the reason why the state won't put what they call a leading interval there is because when they do, it messes up the traffic pattern for that. So that's a state decision. That's not a city decision, but those things have been expressed. So an example would be they put a leading interval at the intersection of Issaquena and Chapman Hill. And when they did, it extended the wait time for the people coming out of Camelot for that leading interval, not only Camelot, but for Chapman Hill. So the people that are trying to come out of there, they feel like they're sitting there forever and a day before they get the green light to go. So if they did that over here, it would do the same thing, and it would slow everything down. So that's the explanation they give me, so I'm just passing along to you. We've expressed it to them, and they're going to take a look at it and see what they can do. So
Where does the funding come from for that?
that funding, so the funding, the funding for changing the light comes from the state. The funding for the backup batteries and everything, we're funding from the city and partnering with the state for that enhancement. So that's something that I asked for in the budget, in our budget cycle.
There's no solar option for battery backups?
I do not know. Well, a solar panel itself isn't going to run the light. You've got to have batteries.
But it would be a short term, so.
But you still got to have batteries. The only thing the
What if
solar
you charge
panel,
the batteries?
at that point you've got power to it that's going to keep it charged all the time, and then only when the power goes out will the batteries kick in. Now, if it would sustain the batteries for long periods of time while the power is out, I can see the logic there, but usually power is not out that long, usually. Now, absent a major catastrophe of some sort.
Yeah.
And then those cabinets would have generator hookups so that we would get generators and hook the generators up to them and run the light. So solar is tricky too, because it really depends on the time of year and how much sun you're getting. During the summer, it's great. In the wintertime, we don't get that much sun. And my speed trailer has a hard time staying charged in the wintertime because of the short amount of time that we have sunlight.
The ID checking mechanism that the
Age ID?
Yes, that's going to be re-implemented
September
by the
1st.
first game or
September 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked with the company, and because we didn't get the funding from the university, so because we're slow during the summer and we're not doing a lot of scans during the summer, they said, well, we'll just pause it until September 1st, and then we'll kick it back up again and get us all the way to the end of December.
Does the state pay for the, doing the research for the speed limit going down towards Daniel?
Yes, that's all done in-house through DOT.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions for Chief on the crime review? Okay, we'll move on to the golf cart ordinance discussion. Do you have any updates since the survey?
I'll give an update, sir, and you can jump in, please.
Go right ahead.
Go ahead, Sandy.
First of all, I'd like to say it was probably one of the most beneficial meetings I've seen in a long time, where both parties really talked to each other, came up with ideas about golf carts and other things that people who had golf carts, there was give and take. However, it's a draft. But it was, I thought, a great meeting, and both parties kind of said, what do you think? And gave some ideas back. I'm assuming right now the chief is giving you a quick draft of where we are. I believe there's 7 potential ideas down through some of the things that we talked about. You'll see 1 through 7, some ideas there. And again, I say this is a draft. What else would I want to say? There was at least 12 people from the neighborhoods that showed up for the golf cart stuff and came and really came ready. And really, everybody was really sharing ideas with each other. And those gentlemen, I think most of them were all gentlemen. There were some ladies there too. Were really just, I mean, it was just really great for once in my life to sit into a meeting where a lot of good ideas were going on. And the chief has put together a couple of drafts here that you're seeing now. And I think we've got some other things to do, obviously, but I think think we're well on the way, but Chief, I'll stop there and see what you might want to add.
So just a couple of things that the group had asked for. Well, first and foremost, I neglected to put in there the statement about not having any more people on the golf cart than what the golf cart is designed to carry. So I've got to add that. That was one thing I noticed. There was some good discussion about the permits and how they're displayed and what the state requires you to do. That kind of clarified some of the things that we were trying to accomplish. But one of the things that the residents asked for, there was two things that they asked for me to bring forward to council. First is they wanted to know what additional benefit would they get if they got a permit from the city, other than being able to use the cart in the city. Because the restriction is you have to be a resident or a property owner or business owner in order to use a golf cart in the city. And one of the things they asked for is some allowances for parking. So either the ability to do because we're getting ready to turn all the meters on downtown to metered parking, the ability to maybe buy as part of their permit so many minutes of parking in their golf cart downtown, or something along those lines as for that permit. The other thing they wanted us to do is in the state law allows municipalities that have barrier islands on them specifically to give residents allowances to use, say, the golf cart at night, or some of the things that the state law currently does not allow you to do. And they would like our council, and I have not brought it to the mayor's attention yet, to lobby the state to add to that list of municipalities that have barrier islands, a municipality such as Clemson that has a college or university in it that has extracurricular activities such as football games, baseball games, performing arts, things that occur at night, allowing them to then be able to travel to and from those events in the evening hours. Because currently under the state law, the city doesn't have the authority to do that. So they want the city to take a position to try to petition for that. I said I would pass it along. I don't know what the council's position is on that. I do know that there is a bill going through the state legislature right now, and I meant to print it, to present it to y'all, to modify what the laws are regarding golf carts. And and what I'm told, because I haven't read it myself, it's more restrictive than what the current state law is, and I think it is in reaction to the tragedy that occurred down in the Low Country last year or the year before. So again, I haven't read it. I'm going to research it, see if I can find it. I don't know who the sponsor of that bill is or where it currently sits in the legislature. So it may be a moot issue with some of the things that we have in our ordinance, because it may be already addressed in that bill if it's passed. So that's basically where we are with that. Like Colonel Edge said, I thought it was a very good meeting, very civil, very open-minded. I would say it went a little bit better than the first meeting.
Oh, yeah.
But I think in the first meeting, there was a lot of misinformation going around the community about what we were trying to accomplish. And I think since that first meeting, and they realized we weren't trying to take everybody's golf carts away from them, now it's more of a, okay, well, let's find a happy medium here. And most of what we have there, they didn't have any objection on in our ordinance, so it was pretty good.
Is this the version that the city attorney has looked over?
No, that's the version that we discussed at the meeting. Yeah. And then the things that I just mentioned that have to be penciled in, I have to make those changes.
We were able to slip away for about 3 days to head down to that lower part of the state, something about a beach with 6 grand young'uns. And, but golf carts are everywhere, day or night. I mean, they're about a third golf carts and 2/3 cars down in the area down there. But to talk a little bit too about what you said, Chief, about, football games, they're gonna drive one out there at 3 o'clock. Well, guess what? It's dark come the fourth quarter. Now what do they gotta do? They're gonna leave the golf cart, they're gonna drive it home or whatever. So, but golf carts were everywhere, and I didn't see a reserved spot for golf carts anywhere that I saw in Myrtle Beach. Just pull in the lane and go. So it's pretty much wild down there at Myrtle Beach about golf carts.
Are there restrictions on mopeds, or I'm just asking because I don't know, like mopeds or scooters or any of that as far as them driving at night?
Mopeds and scooters, no, because they are considered, you can get a tag for them through the DMV, and as long as you can get a tag for them in the DMV, just like an LSV, which is a vehicle very much like a golf cart, but it's a low-speed vehicle, they're allowed to go at night. I think, I'm second-guessing and completely swagging the reason why golf carts have so much restrictions is because they don't have any of their safety things on them now. We can argue, or we can debate all day long how safe scooters and mopeds are, but that's the way the state looks at them. And this is not just in South Carolina, it's everywhere. Golf carts are becoming more and more popular as a mode of transportation.
My cousin that was here at the meeting with me from New York, she said in their town, in their college town, the golf carts have to be registered with the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of states have gone to that. If you're going to use it on a
Yeah.
roadway, it has to be properly registered with the state. So
then if someone's in violation of this, what's the penalty?
it's considered a misdemeanor offense. It would be up to the judge as to what you could potentially be arrested for it, but more than likely, the way we would enforce it would be to issue a citation and a notice, and then it be fined, and then in extreme circumstances, if an officer decided they wanted to make an arrest, they could. But most of our city ordinances, that's what they are. They're misdemeanor offenses.
Yeah, because I could definitely see, like if you think about the fireworks, people maybe want to drive the kids in a golf cart over to see the fireworks, or, movies in the park, that kind of thing. Definitely going to be after dark, so.
Chief, when is the next meeting? Or are we still looking at, you did set a date, I think, or did you?
I don't think we set a date for the next meeting. We were going to send out the survey results, which we did.
Yep.
But we didn't make another meeting date yet.
Give it some time to see.
Yeah, we gotta, and I talked about the occupants per, but I remember now we had a discussion that there is a state law that talks about overloading a motor vehicle. And I was gonna research that to see if that was applicable. And what I may say there, instead of just putting all that verbiage, is say must be in compliance with state law, and then list the state law and then be that way.
Any other discussion on the golf cart? So the next step in this is to revise it?
Revise it. I need to talk with the mayor about what some of the requests were, and then we'll set another meeting so I can report back to what the mayor and or the administrator's position was on the request.
Some of us reached out to other cities too. Did y'all see in the news, Fountain Inn, I think it was, where, big news, spaces for golf carts, a lot of cities. Roswell, Georgia, drove through one night and there's 8 or 9 spots there. So there's a lot of things being put out
Fountain Inn
there
did
by other cities now.
They announced to the news that they were putting in specific golf cart parking spaces in their downtown. Again, they can't give people permission to drive them at night. And so one of the things that came up in the meeting, I don't want to belabor this, but one of the things that came up in the meeting, it's a good point, is you have to get a permit with the state for a golf cart. In order to get that permit, you have to have liability insurance and such on the golf cart. But if you are operating that golf cart at night when it's illegal and you get in a wreck, will your insurance company still cover you? So people put themselves at risk of not having insurance coverage if they're operating it illegally. So I don't know if we've gotten, someone said they were gonna reach out to their insurance agent and ask. I haven't heard back from that yet. I know a couple of insurance agents local, I can ask the question and see if they can give me an answer on that. But that's some of the things people don't think about when they choose to use the golf cart outside of the parameters the law allows them to.
Are there any, and I'm at, because I don't know, are there because I've never had a golf cart, but are there restrictions on, are there seat belts on these golf carts?
No.
Okay, and are there restrictions for animals on the?
No. Not currently. But I'm told that bill that's going through will add that you have to have seat belts in the golf cart if you're going to use it
It makes sense.
anywhere
especially at
outside
night.
of a golf course or something along those lines.
That would make sense, especially if you're gonna allow them to be run at night. Yeah.
The one now being sold by Lowe's, I drove by one day and there was $11,987. It was electric. It has 3 seats now. It has signal lights. It had
Harnesses?
seat belts. It had everything on that baby.
Oh, wow.
So
Well, thank you all for your work on this. It's great.
the chief's putting us in the right direction.
Thank you. So next, do we have any presentations, discussions, any other suggestions? I know we've got somebody lined up for the August meeting. We have the sheriff-elect coming September, possibly again the city attorney. If there are other suggestions, just bring those forward. And then any open discussion? Anything from any of the?
Well, I had a question, so here's the question, and I don't know the answer to it. So, if, I know there's an ordinance about driving slow in the left lane. So I've run up on this several times. So I'm driving at the speed limit and maybe 5 or so miles an hour over or whatever, and I'm in the left lane. And I've got these people in the right lane who are crawling. And then somebody comes flying up behind me that's over the speed limit. Do I have to get over in that behind those slow people if the guy behind me is over the speed limit?
So I will say, first I will say this. In the state of South Carolina, by the letter of the law, the speed limit is the fastest that you can travel. Okay? Including when passing another vehicle. All right? So there's nothing in the law that makes you go over the speed limit. Okay? But into what you're asking, I just pulled this up. This is the law that was passed recently, and this is on the Department of Public Safety's website. It says, the South Carolina Department of Public Safety informs motorists of a new South Carolina law that will require drivers to move right except when passing. Starting August 15th, 2021, the new law, and it gives the number, will require drivers to only use the far left lane on controlled access highways, which is an interstate or like 123 between here and Easley, while they are passing or overtaking another vehicle. According to the law, South Carolina law enforcement will only issue warnings for the first 90 days after the effective date. This offense is a civil violation punishable by a fine of up to $25. No court costs may be assessed. South Carolina Transportation will install new signs like the one below along South Carolina roadways alerting drivers. Additionally, South Carolina DOT will be reminding motorists of the new law using its overhead message boards. There are several exemptions for the new law, such as when traffic conditions and congestion make it impractical to drive on the right lane. For the first list of exemptions, and then it clicks this to get more. Let's see what the other exemptions are. Oh, lovely. My IT department has blocked that. So there's a hyperlink here, but if you just Google, South Carolina, all I did was Google South Carolina move over, driving slow law, and then it has it here. So The answer to your question is no. If you're doing the speed limit and they get up on your rear end, as long as you're passing the car that's next to you, there's nothing that's going to require you to get over. Does that answer your question? As long as the
I find
law.
this on the interstates a lot. I'm doing 70 miles an hour, and the people here are creeping, and I got somebody coming up behind me deciding to do 90, honking the horn, and I can't even get over, and I'm thinking, what do I need to do? Slow
So,
down, you know?
I'm gonna switch hats real quick. I do teach the defensive driving class through the National Safety Council. So what the National Safety Council advises is first and foremost in defensive driving is what's the safest thing to do? Well, it's unsafe to increase your speed to pass the vehicle. However, you could decrease your speed and get over when applicable and allow the impatient driver to go around you
And hope he gets a ticket.
and hope he gets a ticket. And then once that clears, if you want to go back to passing that car, you can. So one of the biggest emphases in that class is we cannot control what other drivers do, no matter what we do, but we can't control what we do. So the safest thing, again, is to slow down, get over, let them go around you, and then when safe to do so, move back over and try and pass without exceeding the speed limit.
Turn your blinker on, slow down,
Is
easy
this
in.
true too for the, all of the trucks and things on the interstate as well? Because I always thought that they were supposed to more so be on the right-hand lane, but they seem to be everywhere and blocking everyone out.
So I will, because we don't have an interstate that runs through our city, thank the Lord, I'm not as familiar with the laws out on the interstate, but I will say what I am familiar with is I think that is only in certain sections of the highway. They'll designate where they must stay in the right and not get in the left lane. And it's usually more. It's usually more than 2 lane width stretch of highway where it confines them to the right 2 lanes and not the left lane. So it really depends. But again, the exemptions, like you would probably see here, is if there's an obstruction in the road or there's a vehicle going extremely slow, then they're allowed to get around them. We can sit here and talk about traffic issues.
No, and the only reason I ask it is because and every time this has happened to me, I would have to really be speeding to get ahead of out of the way, you know, and I don't want to do that either, you know, so I'll just slow down and they can honk some more.
Watch your plate. Get behind you.
Do we have any other open discussion items? Anything else? Anybody? Okay, hearing none, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Moved and seconded. The date on the next meeting is August 20th. Is that the?
It's what? August 20th.